Welcome to the Girls Club, a show where all girls from all backgrounds are welcome, where we lift each other up and celebrate together, where we connect and inspire one another. Remember, we're stronger together.
Hi guys, welcome to the Girls Club, a show where women connect and share their stories in order to inspire other women. I'm your host, Bianca Koyabe, and I'm so excited because today is our first episode, so thank you so much for joining us. Our guest today is someone who I absolutely love and cherish. She's a friend and also a mentor and just an all-round awesome person. It's none other than the incredibly talented Roxy Burger. Rox, welcome to the Girls Club.
You're so good. Thank you so much. You'll make me blush. If I wasn't wearing so much makeup, you would have seen me blushing. Thank you.
Thank you for being my first guest.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me as your first guest.
I'm so happy to have you here. Cheers.
No, thank you.
Cheers to the first episode.
Absolutely. Yay. To the Girls Club, may it gather strength and lots of members.
Thank you, Rox. So I wanted to take a little walk down memory lane and just chat about where you and I first met and how our relationship actually started.
Quite some time ago.
I know. I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. If I'm not mistaken.
Longer.
Longer. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm losing track of time.
I reckon we're talking like close to a decade.
Yeah.
I think it's more like 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
It was that
I
long
remember
ago.
I was super new in the industry and you booked me to shoot for your then clothing brand 011 and I was like, oh my goodness, I was so excited. I told like my friends, my family, everyone, I was like, guys, I'm shooting for Roxy Burger tomorrow. And I remember when I got on set, I think you'd just flown in from the VMAs or something like that.
I was still with MTV at the time.
Yes. And I was like, like I didn't even know what to say to you because, I mean, I was shy. I was like, am I doing this right? Like, do I look good?
And for me, like in retrospect, humble beginnings. Like we started in the garage of my house, and Georgia and Sarah and us, the three of us, doing our thing and like sort of making it up as we go along. But we had a great time, and for us, it was like, wow, we've booked like a real model. You know what I mean? I was like, we booked you through an agency, and it was so cool. And no, for us, it was just like also a learning curve. I mean, I'd never done anything like that before. So for us, it was also amazing. It was a fun time.
It's incredible. And you just made me feel so welcome. And I never ever felt like intimidated by you. You were
glad to hear.
You were just so warm. And that's something that I've carried through with me throughout my whole career. Like, I want other people to feel the way you made me feel. I want other people to feel that way.
Man,
and so I just wanted to know, like, how have you been able to remain so humble throughout your whole career? I mean, you've done so much stuff, and honestly, you have every right to be a diva, you know, but how are you able to maintain your humility?
So I think I would attribute that to my parents, like 100%. And I think that growing up, you know, because I was a kids presenter, and I think when you start as a kids presenter, it's kind of, my parents always put me in my place from the perspective of, they were like, listen, you can do what you do and you can present, but remember that number one, you're a kid, you're still in school, you have to do well at school, and you have to do normal things, like you have to play in the netball team and you must carry on doing the things that you love. And they kind of just treated it very much as a job. And because my sister also wasn't in that world at all, my sister's quite shy, she's very different to me, they also kind of never made a big deal of it from that perspective. It was just like, yeah, it's one of the things that Roxy does, but it's not like, oh, Roxy's famous and Roxy's on TV. Like, they never did that. And I think they kind of made sure that, you know, they put me in my place from that perspective.
So speaking about you entering the industry at, you know, 10 years old, I mean, that statement alone is mind-blowing to me, because at 10 years old, I thought I wanted to be a bank manager, and like I didn't even know what a bank manager did. I mean, puberty, all of that stuff. Like, how did starting at such a young age impact your childhood? Like, what type of things did you go through? Because I mean, it's a very different upbringing.
It is. It's different. I think I struggled with friendships. So if I look back, I think it's because when you're growing up on TV or when you're in that environment from such a young age, your priorities shift and change from the perspective of, yes, I was obviously very focused on school and I still enjoyed my school life, but I was building a career at the same time. So it was also, though, that was a priority for me, even at the age of like 12, 13, when I started on KTV.
Amazing.
Like, it was a priority. Like, this was an end goal. I always knew I wanted to do this. I am a bit of an old soul from that perspective. And I think that my peers, when I look at school environments, they just didn't get it. It was a bit foreign. Like, I had a job. And for the average 13-year-old, they're like,
Yeah.
You know, like I have to worry about tax. Like I had to like pay tax and worry about things like that. You
Usually
know, they're
worried
like,
about boys at
exactly,
that age.
precisely.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that people found me a bit of a foreign alien thing. You know, that's just like, it's weird.
They
It was
couldn't
just,
relate
it was
to it.
abnormal. It was
Yeah,
abnormal. It was
yeah.
out of the ordinary. So they couldn't relate to it. And I think because of that, there was a lot of like nastiness, and if ever I achieved something, it was always, oh, because she's on TV. Like if I did well at school, it
at
was,
school,
oh,
of course,
she's
yes.
favored by the teachers because she's on television, not
Yes.
necessarily because I actually achieved it myself,
Yes,
because she's on TV. So like that was hard.
And what about like your adulthood? Did growing up with like under the spotlight at such a young age, has that impacted your adulthood?
Definitely. I think I very much struggled because I was on KTV for like a decade, like a really long time. I was on KTV for 10 years. And when you grow up on TV and when you're in that space, when you're not on TV anymore, you kind of start to question who you are. Like I had a little bit of a meltdown, like a really difficult transition around the age of sort of like 21, 22, because I really didn't know who I was outside of being on television. Like who am I if I'm not a TV presenter?
It's like a state of limbo.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I was struggling to find other work. I struggled to find other work after KTV, and I looked very young, so nobody was taking me seriously as an adult. I assumed that because I've got so much experience, I'll easily be able to get work, and that was not the case. I actually think it's easier as an adult to enter into that industry just as an adult and not coming from a kids TV background. And I think I started to question like who I am.
Yeah.
Like I had a proper little existential crisis, if
And
I'm
it
honest.
happens, I mean, that happened to me too at like 2021, but I'm sure it's like, it's even bigger because of that position.
Yeah,
So,
it felt like a lot. I was like, well, if I'm not on, like, I almost started to link my value, which is dangerous. I started to link my value with being on television and having that work constantly, and like if I'm not
totally
on
relate
TV
to that.
and if I'm not working, then like I'm not of value, and like who am I? And it was
Yeah.
really tough. That sort of, I'd say like my early 20s were a difficult transitionary period for me, but I made it
well,
through.
I mean, look at you now.
I'm here. I survived.
And so, Rox, you're a mom now.
Yes.
I mean, 80's almost 2. I can't
She
believe I
is,
still
I know.
haven't met her. Like,
It's insane.
yeah, I
And
need to
she's
meet
so
her
cheeky,
soon.
you'll love her.
She just looks so cute. But what things have you had to change in your life, in your career, just
Yeah.
everyday things? I'm sure your life was turned upside down.
Oh no,
in a
everything
good way,
changes.
of course. But
Yes, no, sure.
how have you been able to manage the new life?
Listen, I don't think I have balance. That word is an elusive word that I think I will
I
never.
agree.
It's honestly
I
like.
agree.
I feel like everyone asks me like, what is success? I'm like, well, if I can find balance in my life, that would be fantastic. But like as a mom, I just don't feel like it exists. But nonetheless, I think that for me, I've become very precious of my time. So it's gotten to the point where work-wise, if you're not going to pay me what I feel like I am worth and my value, I'm not going to be there, to be quite frank. Because if you're not going to be compensating me for that time, I'd rather be with my family and my daughter.
Exactly.
And you just become, and even with friendships and things like that, I think you just become a little bit more possessive of your time because your time is now limited. And I would rather be with this other human being who is a little bit of a crazy thing and drives me mad, but I love her. So yeah, you do become just a bit more maybe strategic with what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. And you have to, because you've also then got to try and still make time for yourself.
Exactly.
It's very important to try and make time
Exactly.
for yourself, which is like next to impossible, but you can do it. It's possible-ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think that's the biggest change that I found. And also I found that to try and separate myself has been difficult, because when I'm here, I'm thinking about home, and when I'm at home, then I'm thinking about work. So it's this constant like mom guilt thing that you're trying to like
Yes.
balance.
I get that when I'm with my family though, so I can only imagine like
Yeah.
when I have a baby. I mean,
It's like you just kind of think like you have to try and separate yourself a little bit, so that when the work needs to be done, the work gets done, and
And
you're
you
as
be
efficient as
present.
possible.
Yeah,
Exactly, and be
totally,
present in your work. And when you're at home, you're present with your family. So yeah.
and what about success? Let's talk definition of success. It means different things to different people. To you, it means contentment. Do you feel like you've
Yeah.
reached your optimal level of success?
I mean, can anyone ever say they've reached the optimal level of
I mean,
success?
you've done so much
I
stuff.
have,
You've done
I've done
KTV,
so
you've done
much.
MTV, you've done Strictly Come Dancing, you've done Top Billing, you've done How Do I Look? I mean, it's insane.
No, I've done a lot. So from
It's
that
insane.
perspective, I feel very content that I have honestly presented, I think, every format of show known to man.
No, you've killed it.
I've done
really.
a lot. I really have done a lot, and I'm very content from that perspective. Probably always push myself to achieve more. So I feel like I'm that type of personality that I will
Type
probably
A.
never. I'm type A, 100%.
Me too.
I'm anal retentive type A.
Yeah.
Always want to achieve. Highly annoying. Like that's who I am.
Same, yeah.
100%. So I feel like, and maybe that's why I feel like contentment is something to be achieved, because sometimes you have to just sit back and say thank you. Like, this is great. I have a roof over my head. I have income. My family's looked after. I have a beautiful family. Like,
You're healthy.
You're healthy.
Yeah.
Everything is good. Like, there are a lot of people who want a lot less than what I have. And I feel like it's perspective. Sometimes it's that perspective that you need. So there's nothing wrong with pushing yourself. But sometimes it's also okay to just sit back and say, you know what, I've done good. Like, well done, you can calm down now.
Yes.
So I'd say contentment and probably longevity. For me, like, I think I feel successful and proud of myself because I've achieved longevity in this industry. I've worked consistently.
Yes, yeah. 10 years
ish
old until
for a
now.
long
I mean, it's
time.
Over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
I'm
insane.
proud of that. I'm very proud of that. Yeah.
And what about things like your self-worth? Because in this industry, for me, for example, like when I started out, I mean, you're trying to get jobs, you're trying to get seen and noticed, and you know, you're trying to get people to book you, essentially. And I mean, I know it's taken me some time, at least like I'm over that, but there were times where I did compromise my self-worth, and I was kind of like, I'll do this because maybe, and you know, people were kind of also just stepping all over me.
For sure.
And I mean, that's also just a narrative that's been consistent throughout my whole life from when I was younger.
And I think many women who find themselves in that industry, it's a narrative that repeats itself tell as old as time. Yeah.
And so it was even harder because I was kind of like just wanting to people please and like I want everyone to like me. How have you been able to draw those lines? Like just create those boundaries, and when you want to say no, you say no, but still get people to respect you and still want to work with
100%.
you and like you.
That is so difficult to answer because it's so fickle, because there's, you know, it's this whole like working for exposure thing, and it's that sort of debate that comes up often. And yes, we all need a break in this industry. Like, if you're an actress or you're a presenter or a model, you know, there are some jobs that you might do for free because they're good for exposure and good for experience. But I think you have to kind of set definitive boundaries for yourself and decide, like, these are the things that I'm prepared to do that's good for my career, and these are the things that I'm not prepared to do. And it is difficult because, and this is where people take advantage of others, you know, especially women.
And when you're young.
Young, and you know what else is a huge problem in our industry is the lack of unions, the lack of protection.
yeah.
There's no protection. There's no one, because you as a small little individual, if you get an offer for a TV show and they're paying like below par rates, if you're desperate to get yourself out there, you're going to take the work.
And also if you don't know, because
And if you don't know
there's no
any better,
information, you're
precisely,
like, oh well, it's
precisely.
money.
So there's no union to protect you. Well, we've got the SA Guild of Actors, and they are trying, and you know, they're like battling the residual income thing at the moment, and you know, that whole vibe, and I applaud them for that. But there is a lack of resource from that perspective, and maybe that's
I agree.
maybe there's like a space where we need to sort of have a union, even if it's a union for women only, because it's so tough. And I don't even know, there isn't a cut and dried answer, because everything's different. Your journey's different to my journey.
Totally.
My journey's different to the next
there's
person's
no like
journey.
textbook.
There's no
this and this
textbook.
and this is
Everybody
how it's
always
gonna
asks,
go.
like, how did you get there? How do you make it? How do you crack that audition? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I did the audition circuit. I did hundreds of auditions before I got my very first TV commercial when I was a kid. And even now, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I know that people look at me and think, oh wow, it's like she's so successful.
Yeah.
I'm like, the auditions aren't free flowing at the moment. There's not much TV presenting work out there at the moment, to be quite honest. Yeah, you kind of have to try and make your own opportunities. And because people are so desperate to work, they're prepared to sort of take this rubbish that we accept,
true.
and accept this sort of below par behavior. All I can say is, just try and protect yourself. Like, and maybe surround yourself with people who know better than you. Get a mentor, try and approach someone in the industry who knows more than you do, who you can just phone and say, I need advice, I don't know what to do, how do I go about doing this, whatever it might be, or an agent or a manager. But then again, also get an agent and a manager that you trust, because we've all been
It's a tough one,
we've been taken for rides on that.
Yeah, myself as well. I think I've had about 6 or 7 different
100%.
agencies.
You have to find somebody who actually has your best interest at heart, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's so tough. It's so tough.
it's a
But
tough
just
one.
protect yourself. Reach out to people who can look out for you. And like I say, set boundaries and try and be firm in your boundaries. I once got advice. Like, I remember when I left KTV, I was trying to get rid of like this kid's image, and this person said to me, no, at the time FHM was a vibe. Like, FHM was huge.
I remember, yeah.
FHM was a thing, and they were like, no, go and pose in FHM. And I was like, that's so not me.
serious?
Like, I'm not a model. I'm not a model. Like, it's not my vibe. Like,
even
no
still, like,
disrespect to the girls who did it, but like,
wise though,
it's
I
just,
don't know.
it's just not me. I was like, it's not what, like, it's just not, I look awkward and terrible when I try and do things like that. And they were like, no, just go and, you know, that's like the worst
You'll be
piece of
fine.
advice anybody could have ever
terrible.
given me. Thank God I didn't listen. But it is, listen, we've all done it.
Yeah.
We've all taken on jobs that we shouldn't
of
have taken
course,
on.
yeah.
We've all done things that we, even now, to this day, every now and again, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You live and you learn. So just
true.
learn from your mistakes and set your boundaries.
And so, speaking about like residual income and like just creating your own opportunities, I mean, the social media space is big now, obviously. And you're doing a lot of influencer work. I mean, I also do a lot of influencer work. I must be honest, that's where I'm getting most of my money
Me
at
too.
the moment.
Me
And
too.
so, you know, I love Instagram for that. But how have you been able to find your niche in such a saturated industry?
sure.
You know, and almost like everyone kind of feels like they are an influencer. Like there's this weird line between
Yeah.
being an influencer
And actually
influential,
earning,
you know, and
and
actually
actually being
making money.
influential.
You know,
I get you.
So how have you been able to find your niche? Because I mean, you do it really well, and definitely
you.
there's like a positive vibe, like all of that stuff. But a lot of people do struggle to find their niche. I know I struggled, and it's also because I like a lot of things. I enjoy a lot of things.
For
I'm
sure.
good at a lot of things, and I don't know how to be like, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is all I'm gonna
Well-
kind of post. So how are you able to find your niche?
I mean, I also feel like maybe you shouldn't worry too much about boxing yourself in,
Yeah.
because
I tell myself that like
what's
almost
trending
every week.
today,
I'm like, I don't need
and like
to.
what's trending today is not necessarily what's going to be like hot in 6 months' time. And
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like, for me personally, I've always just been authentically myself. Like that's honestly, I think the only answer I have for you. Like I try and be very honest. Yes, I love a good makeup shot where you've got lots of makeup. I love
Yeah.
that. But I also
Yeah.
will then
Every
post,
girl does.
but then I'll put an Insta story up where I don't have makeup on.
Yes,
And I'll talk
totally.
about my horrible pigmentation that I hate so much. And like, because that's just normal and everybody goes through that. So I think I personally don't like to put on this facade that like I have this perfect Instagram life. I mean, I admire some people who do it, but imagine how tiring that
It's
must
exhausting.
be. I watched somebody's
It's
Insta stories the
exhausting.
other day, and they were so beautifully curated, and I thought, wow, that's like a really beautiful Insta story. But oh my God,
The
imagine how
time,
much I
the
felt
apps,
tired
the
watching
apps
it.
needed, yeah,
Like,
to
I
get the
felt-
grain effect and the this and the
I was
shaking.
like, it's really
yeah,
pretty
it's a
and
lot.
it's awesome, but I was like, imagine how tiring that must be to live a curated life
Yeah.
24/7. And I think we've seen it with Instagram particularly, because Instagram engagement's actually on the low
Totally.
at the moment. It's
Yeah.
on the down, and it's not doing so well. And I think it's because people are starting to see through that, because people don't necessarily want this like perfect life, because life's not
Exactly,
perfect.
exactly.
Life is so not perfect.
And it's
like,
so unrelatable.
it's
as
far
well.
from perfect.
Totally.
So like I would say, if you want to do this vibe, just be yourself. Like honestly,
I
it's
agree.
it's so cliched, and it sounds, and even when it comes to presenting or modeling, just be yourself.
But you know what?
Stop
It's
emulating
true.
other people. Stop trying to copy other people, because there's already those people in there. They own that space. Like you can only, what's that Dr. Seuss thing? There's no one
Oh,
newer than
yes,
you. Like it's
exactly.
true. It's so
Yeah,
cliched, but like
yeah.
you can't be anybody but yourself.
No, I
You
totally agree.
can't.
I feel exactly the same way. That's
know?
also my answer when I get that type of question as
Exactly.
well.
If we call a spade, the broadcast industry at the moment's in a bit of a strange space in South Africa. There's not a lot of work to go around. So I would just say, like, create those content platforms for yourself. And also, you own that content then.
Exactly.
Start your own YouTube channel. Like, do whatever it is. And even if you only have 100 views for the first year, that's okay. Like, just keep
Everyone starts from
creating,
somewhere.
and
Everyone starts at
exactly.
zero, actually.
Everybody
Every account
starts at
it's
zero.
true.
Like, just do your thing, find your way and do it because you enjoy it, not because you want to be famous. Because if you're doing it because you want to be famous, I can tell you right now, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
It's not going to last.
It's not going to last. You're never going to.
It won't be enjoyable.
It won't be enjoyable. You have to create content because you thoroughly enjoy it and because it gives you joy, because there's something you want to say and it's a platform or you have a message, whatever it might be, but that's the only way to push forward.
What about career challenges? Like,
oh, so many.
Was there like one moment where you just thought your world was ending, and like how did you overcome
Absolutely.
that?
Like I kind of, when I decided that I was going to study my honors degree, because I
yes,
studied.
you went to Vega.
I went to Vega.
Yes,
so when I signed up at Vega, I'd pretty much like given up on presenting. I was like, I'm done. I'm finished. It's too hard. I can't find anything that really like works for me. I proper gave it up. I was qualified. I qualified at Vega, and I went and worked at the Creative Council for 3 years. And halfway through, I got onto MTV.
Oh my goodness.
By luck. Well, not by luck, but I mean, like, my friend was producing this new show, and they were like, we think you and Sade are perfect for it. Come and do a screen test. It was via my old boss at KTV, who was then at Viacom. So that's my next piece of advice. And my next piece of advice is be kind to everyone and be professional constantly, because our industry is very small. All my big jobs have come via referral. All of them. All my big, if I look at like all the different touch points throughout my career, it's always been because, oh, I worked with Roxy and she was professional. Call Roxy and bring her through for an audition. The way I got Strictly Come Dancing was because I was a runner on season 5 of Strictly Come Dancing, and I worked for free when I was at varsity, and I carried chairs around as a production runner.
And they remembered you from then, like how you were.
And like I'd worked with Rapid Blue for years, and Killeen was like, come through an audition, and I got the job.
Oh my goodness.
So like it's literally just, our industry's small. Work your way up from the bottom, be kind to everyone, make a good impression, be professional.
And I mean, it just makes everything so much better, you know?
Life
it makes
is more
the day
pleasant.
so much more fun, and it makes the time so much
100%.
more enjoyable.
Like we've all been on set with a diva, and it's never fun.
It's horrible.
It's horrific. And the thing is, you get to the point where when you're in a position of power, or like if you're a producer on set, there's certain people, to be quite frank, I would never invite to sets. It's gotten to the point where I won't invite certain people because we know what they're like, and they're 45 minutes late or an hour late or whatever, or like they've got a reputation that precedes them, or you've had a bad experience. And to be honest, there's more than enough other people to work with.
Exactly.
So we just won't work with you anymore.
Totally.
Is what it is.
Rox, what about finances? Because I remember a few years ago I asked you about like how do you manage your finances? You know, we work for ourselves, and it's difficult because you have to create your own like monthly salary. And how have you been able to do that so well?
So listen, if I'm honest, there's been times where like I had to phone my mom for petrol money. So like, no, I haven't always been very good with my money. It's so tough as a freelancer. I am also lucky that I have a business where we now have retainer clients that we work on retainer on a monthly basis. So that's also because then it helps just to have a salary of some description. But having said that, it's still a retainer, and they can cancel with me in a month, and I can lose that income. So it is tough. I would say you really have to budget well. And you know what? Be realistic about life. If you're bad with money and you're bad with budgeting, then find a financial planner who can help you. Find somebody who can help you.
Exactly.
If you're we're not good at everything. You know, if you're a creative and you're really bad with finances, then employ someone or pay someone a small fee, or speak to an accountant, someone who can do your taxes, because that's the other thing. Freelancers, stay on top of your taxes. Learn to budget. You've just got to learn to budget. You know, and don't think that because you had a really good month, don't go splurge.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined. That's what I've learned.
You've got to be more disciplined. You have to be more disciplined with money than a salary earner.
Totally.
You have to be way more disciplined.
Because also for me, I mean, my paychecks are different. So I don't have any retainer of any sort. So 1 month it's like, whoa, next month it's like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
And now another thing I wanted to touch on is, so I've tried to go into business with friends of mine, and honestly, it's never worked. It's been terrible. I've lost friendships and businesses because it was such a big clash. I mean, you work with Sarah and Georgia, who are your best friends.
Yes.
And Sarah does makeup and styling. Georgia does photography. And honestly, it's so much fun. Like being on set with you guys is so much fun. You guys are so funny, but you also get the work done, and you produce really good work. Like, how do you also find those boundaries between work and play, and like getting things done, but also still enjoying yourself?
For sure. it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah.
And it is difficult. And I think if you look at business all over the place, some family businesses, for example, do brilliantly, and some family businesses end in disaster and families stop speaking to each other, and you'll find that brothers are like across a boardroom table with their lawyers on either side.
Yes.
And the same goes for friends. And I think it just completely depends. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
You guys just work.
It just clicks. We just work. We just all work really well together.
And you all understand
Sarah
each
helps
other.
me
It's amazing.
Sarah helps me run like all my web stuff, all my blog stuff. Sarah has her own businesses
Sarah's
that I help
incredible.
her with. We share an office.
She's so efficient as
is.
well.
She's
I always
incredible.
feel like calm when she's
100%.
there and like things are organized.
And she's good. You see, that's why like she and I think maybe we're like a bit of yin and yang, because I'm not necessarily like, in some respects I am detail oriented, but in other respects I'm not. So
I can relate to that.
100%.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's that person for me. So like when I need assistance, like she's that person to say, okay, listen, today's this date, this is the deadline, this is what you need to do.
That's
and I think
nice.
we are able to like say to each other like, you know, this is how it is, and it's straight talking. But in some instances it doesn't work out. So I think you just have to find the right business partners for you. It's really, it's not something that's cut and dried. I think you have to
True.
feel it out.
I think it's also like people sometimes feel like, you know, it's this dream to be able to work with your friends or to work with your family, and like sometimes it's not going to work, and that's okay. I know that
100%.
I had to get to the point where I was like, I haven't found those people yet. Like,
And that's
I haven't-
okay.
And it's cool, but it took me some time, because it's like, you know, you see that, or sometimes, you know, you'll see the Kardashians and they're like all working together, like it's like this fantasy, and you're kind of
For
like,
sure.
oh, I wish I had that.
I had that.
You know?
And I think that the flip side of that coin, and something to add to this conversation that we're having now, is that entrepreneurship isn't necessarily for everyone.
That's also
There's,
true.
I think I'm all for entrepreneurship. I'm like, go out, make it work. But if you're not that personality and it's not for you, that's also okay. Like, there's a space for everyone in this world. If you are better working for someone and, you know, like, you know, getting, you know, working your way up the corporate ladder and that's your vibe, great. If you aren't good in a 9 to 5 and you're not very good with authority telling you what to do and you want to be an entrepreneur, that's fantastic. Do that. But find what you're good at and like work to your strengths, play to your strengths. And if you're not good at something, find people who can supplement that.
So I want to chat about just your longevity in the industry. I know we've spoken about it a little bit already, but I mean, you've done so well, and you've done
Same, thanks. Steve.
so much. And honestly, how? Like, if there's
I
anything
don't
that
know.
you can tell someone, just in terms of, because it's also like a mental thing as well, and it's like, you know, you have ups and downs as a creative. 1 month or 1 day you're like yes, next day you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I know
It's
there's
so
been times where I've woken
hard.
up and thought like, I don't know if I can do this
Yes,
anymore.
it's so
100%.
difficult. But I think, you know, given all of that, everything you've done and are still doing now, it's very inspiring.
Same, thank you.
It really, really is. And yeah, so how
How?
are you, how are you still
You
here?
know, I think, listen, I also think I have to pay tribute to a little bit of divine intervention and a little bit of born under a lucky star, and have taken that and have worked hard to make it and run with it. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, I got that break and I ran with it.
Yes.
I would say resilience. You have to be so thick-skinned. Like, you have
Totally.
to just like, I mean, the rejection is on another level. Like, if I
Yeah.
can't begin to tell you like how many auditions I was like the final 2, and then you just don't
crazy.
get it, and like this big job. Like,
It's
I was
frustrating,
up, like
yeah.
I was up for The Voice, to host The Voice.
Oh my goodness.
Not the main host. I think it was the co-host.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
I
I
was up
know,
for
like,
that, and
like,
and I
the
was
back-
devastated. Like, it didn't come through, and I was so upset, and I was like, oh, you know.
You'd have been perfect.
It's like
for
a
that.
prime time vibe on Mnet, and I was
Yes.
like, you know, that for example, like nobody hears about the losses, nobody sees the crying in the back end.
Oh my
do you
gosh,
know?
at all. And the picking yourself up.
Exactly.
And,
And
you know,
like,
putting your
there's been-
makeup
and
on
I-
and getting out there.
100%, and like it's long, hard hours,
Yeah.
you know, like it's, and
It
there's
is.
and social media can be a nasty space. But anyway, I would just say like, stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's hard, but with social media, don't compare yourself to everybody else. Like, just set yourself a goal and stick to achieving that goal. If somebody else achieves another goal that's maybe different to your goal, who cares? Like,
It's for
applaud
them.
them.
Exactly.
We applaud each other,
Exactly.
but that's for them. It was their journey. It was never your journey. I was never meant to be on The Voice. It was not my journey. I mean, then I got onto How Do I Look on E, and it's like my perfect home. I love it there.
Exactly.
So you see, everything happens for a reason, and like, just try and have perspective about like what's meant to be will be. And then the flip side of that is work damn hard. Like just keep your head down, work hard.
It's a big one because it looks like a very effortless job, and it's not.
Such hard work.
It's so hard in all aspects, like in so many different aspects. It's tough.
It's so tough. So like I would just say, like, keep your head down, be resilient, be professional. Be professional constantly, be kind, be courteous, be good to work with, and the work will keep coming.
I love that.
And well done to you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of this. This is amazing.
Oh,
like
thank you,
really,
Rox.
like you're someone that even I look up to you. You are somebody that I think you are proof that hard work and perseverance,
Thank you, Rox.
it pays off. And look at you now, hosting your own
Oh my
show
goodness.
on the interwebs. No, it's very
Thank
cool.
you,
I'm so
Rox.
proud of you. And I'm glad that in my lifetime, like our paths crossed.
So much.
Everything happens for a reason.
Oh
I'm a
my
true believer in
goodness.
that.
Yeah, when we
So,
first met, I was like, you know, and we've
Amazing.
just been working. I mean, do you remember that the one day I
So
styled you?
amazing. That's
we did
right.
that shoot, and
Yes.
we've done so much
We
stuff
did all that
together.
stuff.
It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
we were in Maboneng.
Maboneng.
We
It's
did
been
that whole nice
amazing.
shoot in Maboneng. Yeah, that was a great shoot.
All right, guys. So we're about to play a game called Truth or Do. So we're going to have a set of questions, random questions that we both have to answer. And if we don't want to answer, then we have to eat a really hot chicken wing,
Oh my word.
courtesy of the chefs here at Central One Restaurants at the Radisson. So apparently these wings are really hot. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
if we tell the
Thank
truth, we'll be
you.
fine. Thank you. If we tell the truth, we'll be fine.
Those
right?
look spicy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. Okay. So if I don't want to answer, I have to eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got water in a box to keep us, you know,
These are rad, hey?
just to keep the chili at bay.
I can smell the spice.
my
Oh my
gosh.
word. Can you smell how
Oh
I
my
can
gosh.
smell how spicy that is?
All right, so we're going to start the game. Rox, are you ready?
I don't know.
You're the guest, so please, you go first.
Okay. So I'm shuffling these, right?
Yeah.
And picking something. You can smell the spice. Like they're not kidding around.
No,
Okay.
it's serious.
Okay. Okay, so now I have to read it, right?
So you'll be asking me a question.
So I'm asking you now.
Yeah.
When was the last time you booked a hotel night with your partner?
Oh my god. No, I can answer this.
I was gonna
I'm
say, that's not too
I'm gonna
bad.
do this. I'm just trying to think when it was. Oh, it was for his birthday.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay, cool.
Let me just shuffle these a little. I'm really bad at shuffling. Oh well. Okay.
I can smell the spice. Oh my gosh, it's actually like, these are spicy.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready. No, why are you doing that?
What is the last thing you stole as an adult? So from 18 up.
What is the last thing I stole as an adult? So, okay, I tried. I went to a Moet on Shandon event the other day. And they had these really beautiful gold goblets. You know those gold like champagne goblets? And I tried to steal one, but I couldn't get away with it. I tried so desperately. I had quite a bit of Moet in my system at the time because it was champagne day.
Oh my
So
god.
I tried to steal it, but I didn't get away with it. I don't know if that counts. I tried. I
That is
failed.
great. That is great. Thanks
I'm
for your
being
honesty.
truthful.
No, thanks for
I
your
did try.
honesty.
I tried to steal, but it didn't go down.
That is so funny.
Oh, guys, thief is not something I can put on my resume. Ooh. Are you and your partner still in the honeymoon phase?
Why am I getting all the partner questions?
That was awkward for other reasons.
I feel like everyone's definition of honeymoon phase is different.
Well, what would you define honeymoon phase?
I would say when we were able to like really take each other's nonsense and kind of be like, it's okay. So
I feel
I
like
don't think
honeymoon
we're
phase
still
is
in that
over when
phase.
you like fart in front of each other.
yeah, no, oh, well then we're done. Like that's
Then
over.
it's like, oh well.
no, it's over.
Then it's like, okay, well, you know.
no, it's over. Sorry, my love, it's done.
he's,
it's pretty funny that he's
behind
here.
the scenes. That's why it's funny.
Oh, God.
Okay, my
Okay.
turn. Let me see if it's something about stealing.
Oh, come
Okay.
on. Let me get you a spicy one. What is your last creepy or pervy DM? Can you show us?
Creepy or pervy DM? Funnily enough, we were talking about this the other day. I don't get like any creepy pervy
Not
DMs.
one.
Not
Have you looked in the
really.
requests? You know
Yes,
that,
like in the hidden Instagram box folder thing.
Yeah.
I honestly like
Oh
don't
my
get.
goodness. Are you
trying to
kidding me?
think. I really honestly don't. It's such a boring answer, but like it's the truth. Maybe because I'm a mom, people are just like, no thanks.
Okay, what's the creepiest one you've ever gotten?
Like I haven't even gotten any dick pics. I feel like, because you know, like everyone like gets it. I mean, it's we shouldn't laugh because actually, men, it's disgusting, and you shouldn't be sending that to women. We shouldn't laugh about stuff like that because it's actually revolting, and that's sexual harassment. But I've never even received one. I'm really boring, guys. Like my life is really not exciting. Everybody thinks it is. It's so not.
That's really
I mean, once upon a time, like weird guy in a club, like once came up to me and he was like, I bet. What did he say? How did he word it? He's like, oh, I bet that nothing tastes better than a Roxy Burger.
Oh,
And I was
my
like,
gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
to you, Rox.
Sorry, nothing exciting me.
I
Again,
need to
like,
get you to eat a wing at some point.
maybe we just eat wings for fun. Okay, so last one. Who is the worst presenter or model you've ever worked with?
I can't answer that.
There's no ways I'm gonna answer
my
that.
Gosh.
And also, there's so many that we can't mention all of them.
Oh my
Let's be
goodness.
honest.
There's
Oh,
too
no.
many.
No, we can't. We'll never. Okay,
Okay.
let's eat. I'm not gonna spill the
Cheers.
tea. Cheers. Not spilling the tea there.
Not today.
No ways.
Not today, at
Okay.
least.
There you go. It's rather
Good
spicy.
though. Spicy but good. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Girls Club. I'm your host, Bianca Koyabe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Me out of town, just in the